Okay, today we got a little bit of a scenario for you. One is Logic, and the other is Pro Tools. Now, thinking about things like which is better, Logic or Pro Tools, Logic or Pro Tools, Logic or Pro Tools, we don't really have a, well, we kind of do in this video, but for right now, we really don't have a which one's better. They kind of equal out for us. Uh, we've been using Logic for the last week, if you saw, actually the last couple months. But if you watched last week, we did have a video where we talked about, hey, we're going to do Logic until we find something better. And I think we found something better. I didn't think it would be so short. I figured we'd have a little more time, but we actually have Pro Tools back. And the reason we have it back is because things sound better. I've been noticing things sound better. I don't know if it's a plugin, the way we've mixed. I'm pretty much sure that the plugins and stuff that we've mixed here in Pro Tools are the same setup that we have in Logic. I don't think that changed, but I do know Logic uses the cores in our laptop differently than Pro Tools does. So there's things like that, but we're also trying to make sure it's not a Apollo or any of those types of things. That's purely just the processing that the two DAWs use. Logic works a little bit differently. It doesn't use all your cores, even though they say they do. They don't really use all your cores. They don't use the performance cores the way that they should be used, and vice versa. In Logic, from what I understand, your master fader only uses one core, and I have noticed that when I start putting plugins on my master fader to do mastering or anything, it does change. It's a very different processing. The processing goes up quite a bit. It goes from like 25% up to like almost 75%. And that's just because it's using one core. From what I've seen and kind of understand, that's what's happening. I could be wrong. If there's somebody that knows better than me, feel free to shoot me a message and correct me. But that's kind of what we've noticed so far. So we took a session that we've been mixing in Logic. We finished one song, and we have two songs we're doing in Logic. We finished the first song and we have it sent off, and it's we're getting notes back on it. So that one song's almost done. So we said, well, the second song, what if we took and we mixed it in Pro Tools? And as soon as I threw the WAV files in Pro Tools, I instantly noticed something different. My toms sounded fuller. Kick drum sounded different. Everything just sounded more full spectrum. Everything didn't sound as thin as it did in Logic, where I'd have to add some mid-range or take away mid-range because I added too much. Or there's things that I had to do differently that I didn't have to do in Pro Tools per se. So I was like, so I started mixing a song, and after about a day I was like, man, this sounds way better than I thought it would, like in Logic. And Logic, I have a template set up that has all that stuff set for me, but I was just like, man, it just seems like this is sounding more what I envision in my head when I do albums and stuff. So I was like, well, Logic did get me there. I do like it. We did say we were going to use it until we found something better. And I think we found something better, Pro Tools. Now, if you watch one of my live streams, I may have said that maybe this is the boomer of DAWs. It may be, but it's also been around the longest. So it's gotten things figured out maybe on how it wants to process things. Logic's kind of like the next step up, where they've been around a while and they've got things working with them. So we'll probably bounce back and forth between the two, Logic and Pro Tools. Now, which one's better? That's up to you. It's up to your workflow. It's up to your how you want to do things. Logic's great for writing and composing songs, pre-production type stuff. Pro Tools is probably a little more superior when it comes to mixing. And plus, with Logic, you don't get the user community that Pro Tools has, but you also don't get, because they're two separate beasts, you don't get that same user community with Pro Tools. However, Pro Tools has been used. I actually just watched a thing on the guys who composed all the music for the new Wicked movie with Pro Tools, and that was fantastic. It was amazing on how they did all that. But that's kind of our take on it. Now, what are we going to use? We're probably going to stick with Pro Tools more often than Logic, but we'll jump back and forth as need be. If you want to send us Logic files to mix for you, we can most absolutely open them. If you got a Pro Tools session you want to open up, absolutely. I think we're going to stick with Pro Tools because in the coming year we want to work with more artists, and more artists might want to work in bigger studios. So we might want to go to the blasting room here in Fort Collins to do mixing, and they all use, or do recording, and they use Pro Tools. Or I might want to go down to Denver and use a studio down there that uses Pro Tools. A lot of studios use Pro Tools, not a lot use Logic. So this kind of builds the gap between there. Kind of fills that gap. It builds a bridge, not fills a gap. Anyways, if you want to use Logic or Pro Tools, check them out on Avid's got their stuff. Logic's got theirs. Definitely that's what we're going to be using in the coming months, is probably more Pro Tools based with our Apollos. If you guys liked our videos, hit the like and subscribe buttons down below, and watch our other content that we got coming out here in the coming weeks, and our live streams that happen almost daily. We're going to go make some music, so maybe you should too, and we'll see you next time.